So by the end of basic, uh, again, I was a squad leader. And so instead of graduating basic as a E1, I graduated basic as a mosquito wing. That's what they called it. I had one stripe. That was an E2. So I don't know, I have no idea what my pay was, but it didn't matter. I know as a sergeant when I went to NOM, I think I made a $400, $430 something dollars a month, I think. Anyway, so I went to AIT, Advanced at the end of basic. So we're sitting around, I remember this, we're sitting around one day, having a break or something. One of the DIs came over, I guess it was SIBO. And we knew each other, and SIBO was cool. He was drafted, believe it or not. So he was a DI for 2 years instead of being in the infantry. He was just made into a DI, and he was getting out pretty soon. So we were cool. I mean, it was amazing. We could talk to him without standing at parade rest and without being in fear of our lives. And yeah, okay. Let me digress again. If you got in trouble, like we had one guy that wouldn't take a bath, and he smelled pretty bad. And the DI said, SIBO said, I guess it was SIBO, there's another one there, that y'all need to give him a shower party. And what a shower party was, when you clean the showers, you had, I think, 30 seconds, usually it's until the end of till they laxed up. You had 15 or probably had 30 seconds, and we got a lecture on how to take a bath in either 15, probably 30 seconds. You would wash under your arms, go in the shower. This is about 7 or 8 people in the shower at the same time with the shower heads in a rectangle. And you would go in the shower, run in there, the water would be on because whoever went in first the first group went in there and turned the water on. And you go in and you wash under your arms, you wash your private areas, and you wash your face and your neck, and then rinse off, and then you'll be gone. And you better do it because the other guy's got to do it. And if you were late, then that means you didn't have enough time to clean the shower, to wipe it down, dry it off, and all that junk. And the sinks, we had several sinks, but we only used 2, I believe. I know we only used 2 in NCO school, but anyway. So you clean the shower. One of the things you clean the shower with were wooden bristle brushes. So a shower party was, you would take that person in that the DI said he needed a shower party. That meant you give him one. He was suggesting, so he could say he didn't tell us to do it, but we knew we better do it, so we did it. So 5 or 6 guys hauled this guy in there, this kid in there, and they got those brushes and brushed him down till he was red, not bleeding, but just sore as rip, to tell him that he was going to get another one if he did not take a bath or shower, at least once every other day. And the other thing that we had a guy that mouthed off to the DIs, and so the DIs, instead of getting him, put us in trouble. Every time he would do it, we would have to do push-ups, and the push-ups were, y'all are gonna do push-ups until I get tired, or we're gonna push Fort Jackson to the Pacific, or some kind of ridiculous thing like that. And so this particular guy, I don't know where he's from, but he was stupid. He talked back to him. Why? I don't know. But so we got in trouble. And so one of the other guys, I don't know who it was, apparently the DI told him that this guy needed a blanket party. And what a blanket party was, when somebody was asleep, 3 or 4 guys got his army blanket that he was, he's sleeping in the bed, and they would hold it down, throw it over his head, pull it up over his head, hold it down, and then people would beat the stew out of him. And during the night with the lights out. And nobody would turn on the lights, and everybody would just run back to bed. And I guess he knew who it was, but they beat the stew out of him, and he straightened up. Then the other thing that happened in basic, one guy, another guy smarted off, and he was sent down to the CQ, charge of quarters, about 11 o'clock at night or something. And I think because he came back with a couple of black eyes and he was messed up pretty bad. He didn't say anything. Then these two guys, if you smoke cigarettes, and just about everybody, that's where I started smoking, because they said when you took a break in the beginning, they said, okay, you can take a break. Here's what they would say: if you got them, smoke them. So those guys that smoke would get a light and smoke their cigarette, and everybody else would be picking up trash or doing some kind of work. So everybody that didn't smoke figured out, well, real quick, the advantage to smoking is you get to smoke, because all the DI smoked. I guess all of them did. All the ones I saw did. And so, but you had to, when you smoked it down, you had to field strip your cigarette. That is, if you had a filter on it, you had to peel the outside, what was left of the tobacco. You would sprinkle it out on the ground, where there was grass, not on the dirt. And then you would strip it. You'd take the paper up and you'd wad it up and put it, the whole thing, and put it in your pocket until somewhere. You had to field strip your cigarettes.
Side note, Dwayne still does that every time he smokes a cigarette.
He was a Marine. Oh, he is a Marine.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was smoking cigarettes. What else? Oh, there's a bunch of stuff that was just hilarious. Let's see. Oh, the two guys that did not, they got caught throwing their butts away. Just, flick them over into the grass. And some DI caught them inopportune. I don't know which one. I don't know if it was one DI caught them. And so they had a burial detail for their cigarette butts. And the detail, all the barracks were at least 3 feet off the ground, had a crawl space under them. Dirt under them, no grass anywhere, just dirt under them. And so these two guys, their punishment was they had to crawl under the barracks, and with some entrenching tools, E-tools, they had to dig a 6 foot, I don't think it was 6 foot, but it was supposed to be a 6 foot by 6 foot by 6 foot deep hole, and have a burial ceremony for those two cigarette butts that they didn't properly dispose of. So they did it, and this was after lights out. So they did it, but they didn't tell the DI to come check it, and they covered it back up. So when the DI got them, because they didn't notify them, then they had to dig the whole thing up. They had to dig down to find the cigarette butts to prove to the DI that they had actually had a burial for the cigarette butts. And those two guys were in forever trouble. Oh man, I'm sure they would have been dead. And I think and we had graduation. Butch and I graduated, and my parents and Butch's mother, she was a widow, came up, and that was a fantastic time, because we were, I think we had a little break between there and AIT, I believe. If it didn't, there was either a break between basic and AIT and NCO school. Oh, in basic at the end, you were assigned to whatever you were going to do, given your MOS, that is your military occupational service, I believe that's what it's called, MOS. So that told you, you got a letter. MOS was, mine was going to be 11 Charlie, it ended up being 11 Bravo or whatever else. But anyway, we're sitting around at something. We're sitting around during the day at some training, taking a break. This is towards really close to the end, and DI comes around and says, do you want to know where, okay, I'm going to tell you, or do you want to know, I'm going to tell you where you're going next, what your MOS is going to be. Of course, we didn't have any say in that. And so he's telling some guys what they're going to be, and he looks at me and says, you're going to be a stovepipe man. And I said, a stovepipe man? He says, yeah, man, you're going to be a stovepipe man. You're going to be staying here and going to stovepipe school. Stovepipe school? What is a stovepipe school? What am I going to be doing? Working on, who knows, something, I don't know. So he said, that's 11 Charlie. I said, what? I don't know if I asked him or what, and he explained that that was a mortarman. I really wasn't sure what a mortarman was. I said, oh yeah, okay. I knew kind of what a mortar was. I knew what a mortar was, but I had no clue anything about them. I had no clue how I was selected to be a mortarman. But anyway, so I think it was between either I arrived to AIT soon or it was after AIT. I've forgotten which one. It was after AIT. So then I was trucked over to, instead of World War II barracks, we had brick barracks, and we were in smaller bays. There were 8 people in a bay, and you had your own shower for the 8 people. It was amazing change. It was like going from night to day. And in AIT, they didn't yell at you. And that was that was at Fort Jackson also, where it stopped.
Yeah. This will be the last one for